And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning on KIDO Talk Radio. Appreciate you all joining us. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. It is the last day of Win Kevin Miller's Money, and our code one word for today is bills. Bills. That's right, bills. And also today is a day that you can save money on the Boise Music Festival. Buy 3, get 1 free. Details at KIDOTalkRadio.com. And remember, today's cash code word is bills. Code 2 will be at 8:05, and code 3 will be at 3:05 during Sean Hannity's show. Joining us now from Newsbusters, our great friend Curtis Howe. Curtis, good to have you with us. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. Great to be with you, Kevin.
First off, how do we dissect the IG report that came out yesterday, mid-morning, late afternoon here on the West? And then we'll critique the media's objective reporting of it. But what do you make of it so far?
Well, there's a lot to go through here, and it really it's very a stinging indictment of James Comey again. So for the left, it's funny. For us, it's all right. We're trying to keep track of. Oh, so you don't like this guy anymore? Okay, that's okay. So there's that. You have more Strzok and Page text messages. You have text messages from other FBI officials, unnamed, talking about their contempt of Trump supporters, referring to them as stupid and just really any kind of vulgarity, and kind of put down that you can think of. And then, of course, the text message from Strzok and Page about, we won't, he won't become we'll make sure that he won't become president. That's the thing that people are talking about. But from our perspective, the thing that is most stinging in here, that is really, upsetting, is there's a section in the IG report that talks about how in exchange for leaks to the news media, journalists rewarded FBI officials with things like tickets to sporting events and golf trips and, meals, and other things in exchange for information. And I just see that as a huge breach of journalistic ethics, and it's very swampy. It is, this kind of cozy relationship between journalists and the people that they cover. It's just such a troubling thing that there's a lot of layers that can be peeled back on the onion here, in the Hillary Clinton investigation, and what some of these FBI officials were doing that involved with the Mueller probe. So this notion that if anyone says that this has nothing to do and has no impact on the Mueller probe, I think you're wrong.
Well, you go back to, Curtis, what you referenced, Peter Strzok saying, and if people are just tuning in, Peter Strzok, an FBI agent, Lisa Page, they were having an affair. I believe Peter Strzok was married. I don't know about Lisa Page. And during their texting back and forth, we're going, as you just said, we've got to stop Trump. Don't worry, there will be no President Trump. And think about this. We live in the world where Donald Trump continues to change everything. But if Hillary Clinton had become elected, they essentially would have succeeded in, let's just say, in my opinion, Curtis, I don't know what you think, stolen the election.
Yeah, there was a thing that came out in the IG report that referred to some text messages. I can't remember if it was Strzok or Page or was another FBI official talking about the need to really, in terms of the level of preparation for Hillary Clinton's interviews and, whether to go hard or easy on her. They were kind of like, I don't know, because, she's going to be our president. So, basically they don't want to be on the end of some sort of retaliatory measures if Hillary Clinton became president, that she would lash out at them. And of course, for the news media, if that would have been the case, they would a clean house to the FBI. They would have seen absolutely no problem with that whatsoever, because that's Hillary Clinton right there. So again, this is just a really damaging report for James Comey. And I think it's just interesting to note that James Comey said that when he had Anthony Weiner's laptop, he did not know, and he was never aware that he was with Carlos Danger, was with Huma Abedin. So this all-powerful FBI agent, the head of one of our country's leading intelligence groups, had no idea about this.
Right, and that's tough to believe when you're talking about Anthony Weiner, the disgraced Congressman Carlos Danger. But what's the fallout of this?
Well, we're trying to, I think it's interesting that some of the news media outlets have already kind of tried to move away from this. You had the White House press briefing yesterday, and you had a number of journalists suffer just, children melting down in the grocery store kind of episodes over what's going on with immigration. And that's one thing, and you can debate what's going on with the children there. But I think the level of unseriousness and just immaturity here, that's one thing. So they're already kind of trying to distract and move away from that by talking about things like that. Or trying to say, Jake Tapper saying that the real consequence of Peter Strzok's bias was that we got Donald Trump. If you want to think about it that way. Most people don't think of it that way. But, that there's still a lot of layers to peel back here because it's over a 500-page report. There's a lot of layers here, and I think for us, particularly what happened with the journalists receiving kind of kickbacks, bribery of sorts, we need answers on that. And we need, a lot of these anonymous, unnamed FBI officials with such contempt for Trump voters. Where are they now? What are they doing?
Right. And, here's the scary part about this. And I don't know, Curtis, if we're ever going to know the answer, but the FISA courts that were used against James Rosen, the IRS that was used to target conservatives, all these things that happened under Obama. And it's funny because he goes, well, I had no scandals. Well, you had Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch. This report is not kind to Loretta Lynch either.
No, and again, it kind of just shows that, like James Comey or not, his job was, he had a really difficult job, especially considering Loretta Lynch's behavior. And we've seen, in this report kind of, you see that, and then you see her in, recent interviews. She's just kind of been like, well, I don't know, like she never really realized until much later how much of a problem that was, was very kind of, the attitude from her has been, it's almost with like Hillary Clinton, I'm sorry you feel that way, that you don't trust me, like you don't see that there's a problem. You don't see that there's a problem here, that people think this is corrupt and emblematic of the swamp or a deep state, like, but then, this report kind of walks through that, and it shows that, this situation was really difficult, but then again, James Comey, he had a difficult decisions to make, but still at the same time, he kind of took the wrong path and, gives credit or gives, bolsters Donald Trump's firing of James Comey, which, is really the underpinning a lot of the Russia investigation.
Curtis Houck, Newsbusters, anything else we should be looking out for?
Well, we'll be looking at that today with the FBI. And, there's always North Korea stuff and Samantha Bee and her advertisers. We've got a piece up looking at that. Advertisers continuing to flee her, which is not surprising or kind of surprising for the second week in a row. So newsbusters.org. We'll have stories coming up here this morning and, whatever else the View or Chris Matthews does, of course. And I'm at Curtis Houck.
I know, and we always appreciate you tweeting us, and we'll retweet you. Thank you, Curtis.
No problem. Take care, everyone. Thanks again for having me, Kevin.
All right. Take care, Curtis. Our great friend Curtis Houck joining us from Newsbusters. Phone number is 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Let's go to R&R. R&R, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kevin. I'm authorized to offer you a sit-down meeting with the newly elected assessor for beautiful Gem County and beautiful state of Gem. We've got a personal sit-down chef for you, too, at H&F up in Quinn. So if you get a chance after 5 today or tomorrow, and mostly I believe in this ethic, which is I'm certain that always be kind and humble. There's a lot of wonderful horsemen and cattlemen and people that are stewards of the soils and the water and the watershed, and their families have been over here for, 130 years, I think, as I recall. The history of the Payette confluence down to the Snake, and we're just wanting you to come incognito if you can. You're a big man, hard tide, but especially when you're in the Cherry Festival, if you choose. There's only one Payette River, and you just want to come see us. You and the next governor will be able to be shoulder to shoulder. You and I have never met, but your voice is a voice in the wilderness. So always be kind and humble, and as soon as you get over to the viewpoint of the flag, you can just coast to town. Everybody can just back off to their 600 horsepower boosted silly stuff at the county line coming in Gem County, and then just think about relaxing. We love you, Kevin. Stay healthy.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Arna.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're listening to 580 AM, 107.5 FM. Terry in Boise, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Hello, Kevin.
Good to hear you, Terry.
About the inoculations. Robert Kennedy Jr. spent a lot of time in investigations on that. He came up with the conclusions that autism and all these other things with the kids getting inoculations in the hospital, which, my generation, your generation, usually they were 6 months to a year after that. There was a few that you got in the hospital, but when you're getting that many shots, 13, 14 inoculations, the brain stem is not mature enough, and it's shocking it. And I believe with all the research that it's come out with causing a lot of the, the bipolar. And everybody's wondering why this generation, the kids are half nuts in the schools, are shooting people. They don't know which sex they are. The confused brain that they have. It seems to be a lot of it related to the inoculations. If people would do their homework and due diligence medically, I know most people can't. They don't have the medical background to do it and understand it, but it's having havoc with the brains of these kids today. And Robert Kennedy Jr., a Democrat, spent a lot of time, money, and research in that, and with some pretty impressive doctors in the research and his database. It's very impressive. I don't know what you think about. I know you're pro on the shots or inoculations, but there's a time when the brain and these babies, their brain stem's got to be more mature to take that kind of shock.
Well, I don't know what's changed with the inoculations over the years, but, Tea Party Bob believes the vaccines are evil. I'm old school on, you get your kids vaccinated, you get the vaccines, and you roll from there. Obviously, it comes down to, Terry, who you can trust.
Right, but your generation, my generation, the generation before that, autism didn't show up to 1947, 48. And had that prolific amount of autism that we have today, and the basis of these, a lot of the basis of the inoculations, they got carcinogens in them, latent cancer coming up from it, development of breast cancer, so much in the brain. What it does to the brain totally in the frontal lobe, I think it really is a precautionary. There's certain inoculations I think that are absolutely a must, and if you do the research on them, but there's other ones that I don't feel that are really good. I like Tea Party Bob, Mr. Nuvar. I think he's done his homework medically after losing his wife, which was tragic. I really feel bad about that. Anybody that's ever had cancer, it's really a terrible thing to fight. But the inoculations today, their bases are so contaminated. A lot of the doctors don't give them to their wives and their children not until they're much older, and only certain specific ones. This thing for the elderly getting the flu shot and pneumonia and everything else.
Right.
Most people, the higher rate of people coming down with it after having the shots.
Well, and we have talked about Terry. I got to run, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. You're our champion here.
Well, I ran into your wife last week, and I hope she gave you a hug for me.
Yes, she did.
Good. All right.
You take care.
Terry, God bless. You're in my prayers, brother.
God bless you, and love you. You are the people's champion, just like the Muhammad Ali of the Valley.
Well, we love you, Terry. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Doug in Cuna, it's been a while. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kevin. Hey, this whole deal with the Inspector General report coming out, it's really gotten to me. I feel like basically we don't have a constitution anymore because there is no equal justice under the law. The liberals have basically thrown the Constitution out the window or flushed it down the toilet. You know, we have all these politicians that, they spend 20, 30, sometimes even 40 years in Congress, and all they do is they get rich and they crave that power, and they don't really care about you, me, or anybody else. It's all about them. You can look at I believe his name was Christian Saucier or whatever, that, he was a private, I believe, in the Navy that took pictures in a submarine. He spent a year in prison. Hillary Clinton committed several felonies and lied about it numerous times. And she doesn't even get so much as a slap on the wrist. James Comey, he lied. He basically made a sham investigation. And Andrew McCabe, he lied. Same basic thing. And nobody does anything about it. It's like they've got, they're the little buddies or the followers of Hillary Clinton, or these big name liberal elites, and it just gets swept under the carpet. Nobody pays the price. So we might as well just throw the Constitution out the window. It's ridiculous.
Doug, great points. That's why we're here every day.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Keep up the fight, brother.
All right. Our great friend Doug in Cuna. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KID. If you're just waking up, we are reporting on the IG report. FBI Director Christopher Wray had this to say yesterday.
Just in the past several months, we've disrupted terrorist attacks in places ranging from the Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco to a crowded shopping mall in Miami. In March, we charged a ring of Iranian state-sponsored hackers with stealing terabytes of data from scores of American companies, universities, and government agencies.
And that's wonderful. That's exciting. But what about the integrity of the FBI, Director Wray? We'll talk about it next. And your calls, Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Christopher Wray on the integrity of the FBI.
The OIG report makes clear that we've got some work to do. But let's also be clear on the scope of this report. It's focused on a specific set of events back in 2016 and a small number of FBI employees connected to those events. Nothing in this report impugns the integrity of our workforce as a whole or the FBI as an institution.
Quickly to Barb in Sunny Slope on KIDO Talk Radio. Hello, Barb.
Hi there. I wonder if maybe this wasn't what I called for, but I wonder if maybe they should include the Bundy case with, the FBI agents, and that group getting together to shoot Lavoie, but on integrity. But nevertheless, I called about the vaccination issue. I am very opposed to these vaccinations that are required. I don't mind some of them, but there's several issues here. One is, as mentioned earlier, the age of which they're being given. There are countries that give vaccinations later. They give some of the same ones, but they give them after 3 years old. And they don't have all the side effects that we have. They eliminate them by giving them when the children are older. If you look on the internet, you'll see that some of the vaccinations donated by, let's say, Bill Gates Foundation, they had 44,000 children that were not previously paralyzed by the polio vaccination that he donated to India. They had piles of people made sterile in the Philippines and in South America by the contaminants in the vaccines. I realize that doesn't seem to be happening here, but I'm still very concerned. I personally had a wonderful, active, talkative grandson who was wonderful, active, and talkative until one day he went in for the vaccination. And lo and behold, he came out. He was in seizures. He was in the hospital for days, and then he was autistic. You could never convince me that autism is not caused by this. And indeed, I have a friend who was at least one of the highest intellectual people probably in the world. She at the time was the top troubleshooter for NASA for the shuttles going up in the air.
All right, Barb.
Okay.
Traffic and weather together. Good morning, Everett. And let's find out what's happening in your world on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
More of your phone calls in a minute. First, out to New York with the very latest on the IG report. Fox News Radio's Tanya J. Powers on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. I love that song.
I know. I was, boy, that's another shared vibe that we have. There I go, getting off into the weeds already. We're only 20 seconds in. But
Sorry, I derailed you. It was really my fault to start with.
No, I was so tempted to let that play. And anyway, it's kind of like Peter Strzok and Lisa Page,
You can take the folks out of music radio, but you can't take the music radio out of the folks.
I'm telling you, yes. Don't forget me when I'm gone. That's what probably Peter Strzok's saying to Lisa Page right now. But my heart would break. Yes. Anyway.
Wow, I see what you did there.
I'm with you. So hopefully we can get back to the IG report and the fallout.
Yeah, let's hope.
James Comey, I think, is playing that song right now as well. So.
Possibly.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think anybody's going to forget him because he was quite mentioned quite a bit in this report. Well, I mean, what was mentioned about him was not flattering. It was pretty critical of James Comey, this Inspector General's report that came out yesterday, more than 500 pages, nearly 600, as a matter of fact. And it outlined, of course, those anti-Trump texts that you just mentioned between the FBI agent and a colleague, that the report actually said that those texts cast a cloud over the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails, but that it didn't affect the investigation itself, that there was not a bias one way or the other during the investigations toward either candidate or against either candidate. which is kind of, interesting in itself. James Comey was called insubordinate for not revealing to Loretta Lynch, who was then the Attorney General, his plans to make that public announcement saying that Clinton wouldn't be charged in the whole case. And you remember that from July of 2016, and then 11 days before the election is when he came back out and said, "Oh, we found more emails. We're looking into those, from the ones that had shown up on Anthony Weiner's laptop." So there's a lot in this report. The big takeaway seems to be the criticisms of Comey, but also at the same time the fact that it says that even though there was some, anti-Trump sentiment among some of the FBI agents and people who worked there, it did not affect the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails.
Right, and just the idea that you have the texts from Strzok and Page really don't do the FBI any good. And again, as you said, Loretta Lynch and her conversations with Bill Clinton, and Comey seems happy. He doesn't agree with everything, but he said the FBI found some issues, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, he had an op-ed in the New York Times, as a matter of fact, where you can read exactly what his response to this is. He says, in both situations, the Inspector General's team concludes I should have adhered to established norms. He says he does not agree with all of the Inspector General's conclusions, but he respects the work of the office and salutes its professionalism.
Indeed. So we'll see what happens after that. Your former mayor, Rudy Giuliani's, he's fired up, too, about it. He's been making some statements.
He is. Yeah, he was on Fox and Friends about an hour and a half ago, maybe, and he said that this just, proves that, the Mueller investigation should come to an end. He's, again, calling for this to stop the Mueller probe into the, possibility or how much Russia had to do with our election. Not really surprising to anybody that he's calling again for it to be ended.
Indeed. J. Powers, only a couple more months, and we'll be back in business. These are the lean months. Time to get up to date on Canadian football, maybe.
Well, there's always soccer and stuff, so
Yeah.
Okay, I tried.
You did, ma'am. You did.
Yeah.
I'm just not cultured enough.
You're not a soccer fan?
No, ma'am. We call that socialism in these parts.
Well, okay. Pretty sure it's still a sport, but okay. I'm just going over here. I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, another month it'll be the Snake River Stampede.
I know. I'm still hoping one of these days I'm going to get over there and take my rightful stash as the rodeo queen.
One day. We're going to lobby, but
yes.
You have a great day east of the Great River.
Thank you. You too.
All right, our great friend Tanya J. Powers joining us. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Phone number is 580-5436. With your reaction to the IG report, let's hear what you have to say. Let's start with pro-life at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Good morning, pro-life.
Good morning. When you hear the phrase that there's three branches of government, they're separate but equal, that is not true. Congress is the disciplinary branch of government. I can't talk too good, or I guess I haven't talked much in the morning here. But anyway, Congress is the disciplinary branch of government, and it is not doing its job. Now, it needs to threaten with impeachment Mr. Wray, Mr. Sessions, and maybe even Mr. Trump for not removing them and really tearing into all of this stuff. This is just a real terrible scandal, and the American people are getting disillusioned, and I mean we're not liking our government, and that's the real problem. We're having second thoughts about government being good at all, and it should be good. We have a perfect constitutional system, and now Congress needs to just really rip in there and investigate and impeach people.
Well, Congress really doesn't investigate.
No, they don't, but that's their constitutional responsibility. And you don't hear any of them talking about that.
Nobody respects Congress.
No, they don't, and they shouldn't. But anyway, I have just.
Well, then how in the world can they have an investigation if nobody respects them?
Well, hey, they're just going to have to step up, or the American people need to know that they shouldn't vote for anybody that doesn't talk about impeachment of judicial and executive branches when they get out of control.
Well, at least you're consistent.
Yeah. Well, I have one more point. And tomorrow is the gay parade.
We've been talking about the gay parade lately.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
Well, we're going to have a bunch of us out there, and we will have really nice signs. One will say God's marriage is one man, one woman. Nobody's born gay, things like that. We'll be nice to the gays. They'll probably, hopefully, be nice back to us. We're trying to get them to realize they're wrong.
Have you contacted the gay police to protect you? Because you've been threatened before by the purveyors of tolerance, and we've documented this for years. And in Boise, they've got the gay flag going on. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. I was quite disappointed I haven't heard from you, because this is one of your pet topics, and we've covered. We're the only ones in town covering this. They don't call it the gay flag; they call it the pride flag, and they're talking about tolerance. But I just wonder how tolerant they'll be to you and Arvell and others who are going to say, not our thing.
Yes, Arvell's going to go, and if you want to go with us, there's some other guys going to go. I'm in the phone book under pro-life. You can find me. But anyway, they need to be told they're wrong, and nobody wants to do that. Politicians don't.
Do they listen to you when you tell them they're wrong, the gays? Well,
if just one of them went straight after some of them might even be praying and saying, give me a sign that this way I'm living is wrong.
You're trying to bring them to the straightness.
Right.
All right.
They need to. They can't be happy being that way.
Well, but they're gay. Doesn't that mean you're happy?
No, they're not gay. They're
Is
not
it
even
gay
happy.
a synonym for happy?
No.
Well, no, it is. Remember, a gay old time?
I know it is, but...
Remember the Flintstones have a gay old time?
Yeah, I know. But that language has been perverted. But they're sad, and they're not...
I think they're going to be pretty gay tomorrow.
No, their conscience is hurt, and they need to have a clean conscience, and they need to go straight.
Well, what if they're happy the way they are?
No, they're not. I already know that. God says that you can't be happy in sin. You can't live in sin and be happy.
All right, pro-life. Thank you.
All right.
Coming up next, Cindy and Hank and you with me, Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. And don't forget, you can save on tickets to the Boise Music Festival. A great deal today, whether you're looking at the Cool Zone, whether you're looking at the pre-Boise Music Festival party. Details at KIDOTalkRadio.com. 1 day only. Buy 3 and get 1 free. That's outstanding. And speaking of outstanding, let's get back to your phone calls. Let's go to Cindy in Caldwell with KIDO on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Cindy.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. While I am still here in Idaho, I really want to thank you.
Now, wait a minute. Cindy, you are leaving Idaho?
Oh, yeah, I really do have to. It's not saying I'm not coming back. I've just fallen in love with a couple towns here, Emmett and Homedale. But I got to do what I got to do.
When is your last day in Idaho?
Well, I'm hoping I get plasma every month, so I've got to work that out with the insurance companies and figure out where I can find. I don't see them as the big enemy. They've been very gracious to me to come alongside that. So I'm working some medical things off. But listen, Kevin.
Just let me know when your last day, before your last day is, because we want to go out to lunch, you and me.
Yeah,
okay?
I would love to do that. You people, I spent my life in the state of Washington at council meetings, especially and I'm not going to go into, the immunizations and the dope and what gets caught up in your brain, but I can assure you THC does as a nurse. So I lived my life there because my only avenue to speak for 3 minutes usually about a topic was, at a council meeting. But I don't know if people know what a God-given providential time that you allow people like Doug and Newsbusters. We're not living in, although this country I watched yesterday is in harm's way on so many fronts. On one front, you're speaking about that IG report. We have had a weaponized IRS, DOJ, FBI, and that, I don't mean to disparage what Tanya was saying, but she gave some erroneous implications there. That report on bias was filled with a double talk on what that really meant and paradoxes. It also James Comey is nothing but a megalomaniac. So, of course, he's going to be in total denial of really how heinous his crimes were. Not even having Hillary Clinton under oath. So that he was biased. He was discriminatory. We all have preferences. We have that whole business. And, the most heinous thing, I was almost sickened when I was over in Walmart because those two people, that's Strzok and Page, you talk about the height of pride comes before the fall, no matter what you're doing with flags or in your own personage. When they were calling the people that go in and out of Walmart, they made a comment of how, he could just smell Trump supporters. You know what? The people that are principled, that calls this show ethical, the service people, the people that, they're maybe not sitting having the fancy dinners, drinking, a glass of wine, over being happy how pulling baby parts apart. But we are attacked on so many fronts. I was thinking of that yesterday and watching the movie, and I tend to disagree with the other gentleman. You can be kind and humble to a point when you are not attacked. But this country is attacked normatively. This country is attacked by the Marxism, the Leninism of, George Soros and Bernie Sanders. I was thinking that yesterday, how blessed I've been to be able to voice, and I'm saying Judeo-Christian biblical principles and loving this country. I was sitting with Tom Munn. So thank you for having the Tom Munns, the Dougs, and all the people that you have out there, because it encourages me that there are a few good men left in this nation to speak truth.
Right. We're not alone, Cindy. I got to run, but thank you.
You go, Kevin. Bye-bye. Thanks. God bless.
But God bless. Traffic and weather together. KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Dave.
I'm just Channel 7's Eric Everett.
Hank, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Okay, I'll try to make it real fast. The FBI was created by Congress in 1908, the Justice Department in 1870. They're creations of Congress. That means there's no separation of powers, doctrine, or anything else. Any order from Congress to turn over documents and whatnot have to be obeyed. No questions asked, anything else. And if you can use national security, you can hide behind anything. As far as Christopher Wray is concerned, you can give nice photo-ops, but if you don't follow the orders of Congress, it means that there's no change of mind. There's a word in the New Testament called metanoetes. It's actually it's a broader word than usually the English translation of it is repent. It means change of mind. It means that you have to totally change your actions. And he's showing that the culture of the FBI hasn't changed. And one more thing, the attorney, this report by Horowitz, by not saying that there's no political bias, that's hooey. Obviously, it was political bias. The English standard common law standard is person's outward actions determines motivation.
Thanks, Hank.